Good morning, YouTube. And morning it is. It's 4:36. I have just woken up from my first nightmare since I've been homeless. I have been plagued my whole life with night terrors. And the dream I just woke up from is a recurring dream. Usually the person in the dream is male. And usually I'm able to identify them as the devil, some sort of evil. Some sort of evil non-human entity. This one wasn't that. This one was a female. And I knew her face and her name, which means that in the back of my head I'm still thinking about her, which is an interesting thing to confess, that you still think from time to time about the love of your life and how she's with another man. And how she lied about you to other men to destroy you. That was the dream. People were hunting me, and I was just trying to get away. But it became obvious that I wasn't going to get away. It's amazing how a dream can give you so much anxiety. And confessing that I have violent dreams can give me so much anxiety. And it's so strange the things that can happen in dreams. The confluence of events. Like at one point, it doesn't even need to make sense. I've abducted her, but I'm trying to get away from her. So I've snuck into this building to get away from her. The thing is, in that dream, usually I'm stalking the evil thing. I'm trying to ambush, kill it. But her, I was trying to get the fuck away from her. Just trying to get the fuck away from her. Anyway, at one point I'm sitting on a toilet trying to take a dump, and Jim Carrey wants to introduce himself to me. So finally what I did is I got into a car and I just drove until I was away from her. And then, dreams being dreams, somehow I'm inside her new boyfriend's house. So anyway, I died. I die a lot in my dreams. I determine in the dream itself that the only way I'm getting out of this dream is to die. And so that's what I do. I find a way to die. And I feel like that's something that I should feel guilty for. So I do. I feel like I did something wrong. I know it was just a dream, but it is still my brain. That stuff is still inside me. You can only dream what you can think, and you can only think in terms of what you know. And God, I have known so much hate, so much fear, so much terror, so much pain. I've just known so much pain. And then the dream lingers, and eventually I'll forget it, but it sticks with me. It's like, they talk about good mashed potatoes sticking to your bones, right? Sticking to your ribs, and it's how these dreams feel. I've had them my whole life. It's how they feel. They feel like they stick to you, like you just can't get away from it. And that's what the dream was just trying to get away from her. So on some level, that's probably all I'm really doing with my life. It's probably all it's ever been. I know I started smoking weed to cope with her, cope with the pain, cope with the loneliness, cope with the hurt. And then I figured out that if you smoke enough weed in a day and you go to bed just stoned enough, you don't dream. If I don't dream, I can't accidentally dream about her. I can't be thinking about her. And then I close my eyes and I wrap my hands around the dirty clothes that have become my pillow. And I go right back to being with her. And how do I react? Well, I tried to make peace with her and it just wasn't happening. She kept lying about me. Telling these men with guns how bad I was to her, and I was never bad to anyone. They just like attention. And so it's uncanny. I feel like I've done something wrong. I know I haven't. Can't do anything wrong in dreams. It's suddenly much colder than it was even a few minutes ago, and that means that I fucked up my... There it is. That means I accidentally unzipped my sleeping bag, and so I'm not really covered anymore. So I get to deal with that instead of... I really shouldn't have done this. I don't have the battery. It's not quite 5 and I don't have an hour of battery to go charge my shit, but I do have $20. So I can go and I can sit in Panera guilt-free. We should all know that it is Magic Shadow who makes that possible for me. I owe him a debt of gratitude that I may never be able to repay. The difference in him and the woman in my dreams is that he hasn't leveraged me. He doesn't put me in that position on purpose. I don't think women have the necessary cognitive capabilities to understand that the leverages that they use only do damage. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've never met a woman who just wasn't happy to do damage. In fact, I don't know that I've ever met a woman who wasn't happy to only do damage, to only do harm. That is the definition of evil. Evil is just another word for harm. You have to initial caps it in order to strip it of that particular meaning. But I also know that there's something right about me and about the way I'm living, because what I didn't do is wake up and run to the weed, right? Wake up and numb my suffering. I lay here and I wanted to speak. I wanted to confess. I hate dreaming. Sleep has always been a terror to me. I've talked at length about the necessity of a good sleep routine, and I woke up a few hours ago to somebody who had watched one of my long forms and left me a good comment saying that it felt good to see me in a good mood. And that's going to continue once 6 o'clock rolls around and I can put my belt on and I can throw this jacket around my shoulders instead of around my hips, and I can go and I can start to think about something else. But today is going to be chasing away the bad thoughts, because I had a good day yesterday, and Elliott Smith is going to be in my ear today. A happy day, and then you pay. That's from the song Say Yes, and it's relevant because I fully blossom as me when I can say, and it's true, that I'm in love with the world through the eyes of a girl who stuck around the morning after. Just say yes. And so I know what it's about. I have a crush on a girl, but I have no reason to believe that the women who are kind to me and who are, I don't know, who make like they're interested in me, I have no reason to believe they're not married. I have no reason to anticipate that any woman that I'm attracted to is single. If I'm attracted to her, why wouldn't a quality man be attracted to her? I know that sounds like a lack of confidence speaking, but like, what woman, what man wants a partner that's been so badly damaged by partners of the past? I don't know. I have very little faith in humanity, and significantly less in the average female. You don't need to put faith in men. And so what I think I'm thinking about is what I was thinking about when I went to bed. And that's that I need to talk to you about what the word belief means. Because I have before, multiple times, but I've never just titled a video Belief, what it means, why we do it. Oh goodness, it got cold. I've moved around I sleep enough. Yeah, there it is. That's so cold. I'm not even going to put a blanket under my waist. Okay, well, it's going to be annoying as I shuffle around to fix that. It's going to get all loud in the blankets, and I know you guys like your audio to be perfect. You don't like blemishes, and you don't like the intimacy of what I do. I shouldn't project that into the future. When I say things like that, it's so you'll jump in the comments and say the kind of things that I do. To my creatives. And so what that means is that in my heart of hearts, I want you to think of me as your creative. And I don't want you to take ownership of my work. I want you to take ownership of me. And that's a pathology on its own, right? I don't want to go back to sleep, but I've got an hour to kill and 15% battery. I don't want to be lying awake thinking about her, thinking about that dream. They fade, they always fade. The memories, they always fade. Dreams, you can only remember them if you think about them. You have to commit them to long-term memory in order for them to stick around and impact your day. And you know there is an easy fix. All I have to do is get real stoned and then go back to sleep. Just let it knock me out. That's addict behavior, you know? Trying to be a leader, trying to demonstrate a better way to live, and I don't know the answer for being over that hump. You know, the answer for how to get over that hump when you're using a hard drug, you know, heroin, opioids, whatever. alcohol and you're just totally obliterating and you're being rude and you're being thoughtless and you're being easy to manipulate, but over imbibing a drug to help you sleep isn't very much different than the story that I told earlier today. And we like to believe that we're better. I don't like to believe that I'm better than that, but I suppose the reason I'm having nightmares in the first place is because I'm not over imbibing. You know, I've got resources to manage. I don't want weed anxiety. I don't want to go without, and I most certainly don't want to ask for money so I can go and buy more vapes so I can have more nicotine and more weed. It's not what I want for myself, but that's what I get for talking and thinking about it too much without talking and thinking about her, about being honest about why I smoke. You know, I didn't smoke before her. I didn't have any reason to. I didn't really drink either. I didn't have any reason to. I'm a happy person. I find my own happiness. I make my own happiness. Always have. And when she bought, I don't know why she did it. She got it in her head that she wanted an ounce of weed. So she bought a whole ounce of weed. And I was just like, oh my God, why did you do that? And then she goes, I can't smoke all of this. I don't even like it this much. And I said, well, I guess that means I'm going to get a taste for weed. And I did. You know, you spend 3 months smoking stale weed so that the money wasn't wasted. And, yeah, you're going to get a taste for it. And I have a taste for it now. It's a permanent part of my life. But, you know, what I learned is that she wasn't quite so annoying and didn't break my heart quite so much every night. It wasn't quite so annoying going to bed horny. It wasn't quite so heartbreaking going to bed heartbroken, and my zipper naturally is jammed. So I'm just gonna have to do did I get it? But of course my sleeping bag is all twisted up, so now all my stuff that I wanted to be on the inside of my sleeping bag is now under my body. But the sleeping bag is a bag again. No, stop. No, don't be what I think it is. Oh, no. No. It jumped the zipper. That's what I've been worried about more than anything. Wow, what a bad night. Homelessness Day 21 was a good day. Not Day 21, Day 29. Homelessness Day 29 was a good day, and Homelessness Day 28, or Night 28, Night 29, fuck. It's not a good one. It wasn't a bad one, it just wasn't a good one. I don't like having nightmares. I don't think anybody likes having nightmares, but I have a particularly childish aversion to nightmares, because I had a lot of nightmares as a kid. I had a lot of nightmares as a kid because I lived a fucking horrible life. I lived an absolutely terrifying, violent and just absolutely just abusive, terrible childhood. And man, I don't know. That stuff, it follows you forever. You know, all the tragedy, all the hurt, all the pain, all this loss. You can't calculate the loss until you've lost as much as I have. And it follows you everywhere. Like I said, it sticks to your bones. You know, they say you can run from your problems, but everywhere you go, there you are. And I don't think that's applicable for me. It's not so much that there I am. Because I've never wanted to believe that I'm just the product of this awful shit that has happened to me. I've always tried to rise above it and say that I can be an example, and I guess that just means I have to start documenting all the terrible things I've lived. Which means that part of the reason I'm not compelled to go to my therapist anymore is because this has become talk therapy for me. Why can I not get past here? What's going on that I'm playing so badly? Whatever. I no longer know why I'm talking. I just said that what I'm experiencing right now, realizing that I'm basically just doing talk therapy into a microphone instead of what? I thought it could get to level 41. Why can't it? Why? I wonder what that's about. I see, says the blind man to the deaf dog. You have to upgrade them. Neato. Not upgrade. You have to merge them. Neato. I don't remember what I just said. I don't know that therapy is doing nothing for me. It's just, she can't really do anything for me anymore. I was only in therapy because therapy was the only way that I was going to survive in the abusive living environment that I've just left. And I think often, like, what does this woman, what does she know about being homeless? What does she know about living in abuse? What does she know about the hurt, the pain, the despair, the desire to give up that I feel? What does she know about my joy? You know, I feel this intense desire to entertain her. I feel this intense desire for her to like me. And you can't feel that about your therapist. And so there's a certain amount of oppositional defiance that I know I'm doing with this channel, with all of my work, where I'm saying, I'm unlikable. Don't like me. Because I have all this rage and disappointment and resentment toward all the people who wanted me to be likable for reasons other than me. You know, you got girlfriends who want you to be likable so that their girlfriends will think something, or I don't know, status. It's always about status. It's always about blinds and bluffs, fronts, facades, pretense with women. Everything is about lying and fronting your lies so your lies are staged. I hate it. So do I really, having a crush on a pretty girl, treats you nice and says your name in a way that you like to hear, do I really want to put myself back through that? Do I really want to open myself to that again? The answer is yes, because love is worth it. I believe in love. I believe in life after love. I can hear something inside me say, I really don't think I'm strong enough, no. It's real. For me, it is. Because there's a certain amount of what's the point? I'd live in life just to be alone. I don't know. I know there's a pretty girl in my life, and I think about her, and I want to give her a gift. I want to give her a memento of my affection. So maybe that's a terror to me. Maybe I've got $20 for the first time in a month, and all I can think about is how I want to go to Hobby Lobby and buy some colored rope and her favorite colors, because she told me what her favorite colors are, and make her something out of her favorite colors. And maybe there's a part of me that's like, you really need to stretch that $20 into as many coffees as you can, because you need to grow it. And then there's a part of me that's like, but if she likes the thing I make for her, she'll tell other people, and they'll want me to make things for her. I've done that before, and the women I did it betrayed that trust. They betrayed that faith. They betrayed that love. And so maybe that's what I'm thinking about. And maybe I think that those kind of thoughts and those kind of stories just don't have any place here on this channel. But if I'm doing these confession series instead of going to therapy, therapy's on Thursday anyway. I don't know. I often wonder what the point is. And then I get stoned and I say, oh yeah, I remember. You're giving it to God. You're trusting in God. And so what that means is that as I lay here staring into my blanket, thinking about how I didn't want to be thinking about that nightmare anymore, a voice in my head said, you should record another confessional about this. If you've got a dream where I had stomped her face by the end into an actual picture, Our brains aren't as subtle with images as we like to believe. I had stomped her flat into an actual 9 by 12 picture, an actual portrait. And that doesn't mean nothing, because it means the harder I work, to destroy her and her memory, the more permanent I make it, the more easily I make it portable. What do you do with an image like that? What do you do with knowledge about yourself like that? I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer about that. Maybe that's my pathology. Like a woman once said to me, disdainfully, "Well, you've just got an answer for everything, haven't you?" Evidently not everything. Because women are an insoluble mystery to me. I have been beaten and ridiculed and demeaned and bullied and every other just soul-leeching word. I have been abused by this world for loving women. And there's a part of me that's done with it. There's a part of me that just doesn't want to deal with women ever again. And then there's a part of me that's like, yeah, but sexual release with men sucks. And it's like, is that all I think of women? No. But that is, a natural element of human relationship. And that is where my failure comes from. But I don't think that's true. I think my failure is in I think my failure is being largely attracted to women with sexual psychopathology, and if I just didn't do that, they wouldn't need to lash out and hurt me in other areas of my life. But I don't know if I believe that either. It might just be possible. It might just be possible that being a sexually active adult, especially a sexually active adult female, makes it impossible to be a good person, to be a good spouse. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have enough data, but I know that the innocence that comes with not knowing that men like and men chase and men are motivated by sex, not knowing that makes human females gentler. Like I always say, it's about gentleness. I think I've been talking to males when I say that, but I think we have this idea that human females are naturally gentle and naturally tender and naturally comforting and naturally a lot of these things, and it's just not true. It's not true as an act of aletheia, and it's not true in the Mouton. It's just not. The women who show up in the Mouton, women in myth, they're not that. There's a reason that everybody's favorite goddesses were lions, had the heads and aspects of lions. There's a reason that Lamia was originally conceived of as a lioness. And then the mythographers and the iconographers realized that women are more like snakes than they are like women. Much more like a viperous snake in your boot than they are anything like a lion. I think the reason they identified them as lionesses because of the way lionesses behave when they're in estrus. I believe that. But I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to extrapolate it out. I don't know how to work in images. I'm not a visual person. I'm significantly more mathematical. I've focused on memorizing and focusing on the gist of things, not the specifics. Anyway, none of this is something I ever wanted to talk about because it's hard. It's hard to hear. Women have no compassion for a man who's been damaged by women. They've watched too much Ricky Lake. They think that all men are evil. They believe it. They believe that all men are liars and that all men are scheming. And why? Why are women like that? Why do they just assume that? Well, I think that our assumptions about what other human beings are like I told you before bed, they speak more to us than they do to other people. They speak more to what we're like than they do what other people are actually like. And so am I just speaking to what I'm like rather than what other people that I've witnessed, that I've observed are like? Am I just projecting in that way? It's entirely possible. And part of the thing is I don't really have any way of knowing until someone tells me, and then I have to be able to trust that person's not just trying to hurt me. And I don't have a lot of that particular kind of trust. I try to give it to the comment section because you can tell the people who are, I believe, I am of the opinion that you can tell in the language they use and the words they choose and the syntax and the way they form their sentence who's trying to support you and who is trying to tear you down. And it's remarkable how much support comes in the form of a backhand. It really is. My father was king of the backhand compliment. That's why he's not a part of my life. He knows what's going on with me, but he's going to make no effort. So I'm just back to the thing that I say to every new girlfriend at some point. I'm so sick of being the guy whose parents didn't love him. I'm just so tired of everybody knowing that about me. So done with being identified by that trait. His parents didn't love him, so he's just naturally attracted to women who don't love him. That explains all of his behavior. He's just chasing love he can never have. And if I can identify it, you're not so stupid you can't identify it. You might not know what it is. You might not be able to put a name to it and words to it like I just did. But you're not so stupid you're ignorant of the symptoms. You might be ignorant of what people are like whose parents didn't love them. And see, that's worse. Because those people, they find They find my self-loathing and they find my nightmares tedious because they think that they become able to predict them. Here it is, the cyclical self-loathing. Every once a month, he's just got to hate himself. And it's possible that's true. Like, it's entirely possible that's true. It might just be that after a good day, I have to destroy myself, because if I don't, someone else will. And if I preempt them doing it, they don't get the satisfaction. In fact, they become like the last woman I was with, and they get frustrated that I won't let them break my stuff. They just want me to make them nice things so they can destroy them as a leverage to hurt me. And so there's that too. You know, if I go and I buy this rope, string really, cord, to make her something beautiful and she doesn't like it. But there's always that I'm not worried about, because I make beautiful and thoughtful things when I make gifts. And you can always tell the quality of a person by their reaction to a gift. So the last time I was homeless, I was making macrame thingabobs, keychains, mostly, because the materials for a keychain are inexpensive and easy to replicate. Not replicate, but easy to get more of. And so for Christmas, for my erstwhile best friend, I was living in his basement. And he got all his family and his friends together for Christmas, and I made a keychain. I made enough keychains that everybody could just take one as a party favor if they wanted. And they just treated me like a 9-year-old. And then, of course, his wife used that she had taken one of my keychains and I'd made her a plant hanger. She'd used that against me at the end. They always do. All women really think deeply about is how to hurt people. I believe that. Because I watch. I watch women use their limited cognitive abilities to hurt. You know, yesterday I said that yesterday's Christ table experience wasn't as good as others in the past, and it wasn't. Because the people who sat at the table with me were just so ugly. This woman was tweaking, and she just spent the whole time telling awful stories. Awful stories. Showing text of people that she's in the middle of all this conflict with, and just being awful about it. Saying the worst things, determining, premeditating to do awful behaviors. And that stuff sticks to my ribs too. Well, if human beings are moving around above me, that means it's A, time for me to stop talking, because I'm going to draw attention to myself. And B, that means that it's probably 5:30. Hey, look at that. If I get up now, I'll be at Panera at open, and I can get a coffee while it's fresh, and I can sit there until I don't want to be there anymore. I called my therapist's office and no one was there yesterday, so I may or may not get a call back from them today. I'm not anticipating it, and if they don't call me back, I just don't have a therapist anymore, and she has several $100s worth of my books, and well, she told me that the state, the hospital, and the company that she works for weren't really interested in helping me unless I was meaningfully, in her words, meaningfully the S word. Not really allowed to say suicidal on YouTube because our language police is a robot, and the robot doesn't understand context. All it knows is that there are certain words that are verboten, and if you say them, you get flagged. And then getting a human to actually look at the context of why you use the word is next to impossible. The review and appeal process for language and thought legislation is just impossible. On purpose, it requires judgment and the kind of good sense that all jurors are required to have. And we lack it as a civilization, as a society. We just lack that kind of good sense and judgment. We lack the experience necessary to be able to tell when someone is lying and when someone's not, when someone is good and when they're not, when they're harmful and when they're not. We lack the cultural memory to even remember basic shit like that Donald Trump has been in movies since the 80s. It's been a major part of our cultural milieu since the 1980s. 50 years, people. 40 years. Alright, I prefer to round up toward the century mark. Century, half century. We're just so stupid and we're so backward. And we insist on it. And it makes me sad. It doesn't make me angry. Sure, I'll get an anger response to it, but I have an anger response to sadness and despair because anger is at least motivating and it's at least a better feeling than lying here in the dark and staring at the dark and just determining to not lie, not stand back up. You know, I talk about in my blinding array, or my dizzying array of metatexts with the Gospel of John, I've been proving, elaborating, demonstrating over and over and over again that the rebirth, the reincarnation, the resurrection that Jesus performs and teaches his disciples how to perform is not a resurrection in the sense of a brain and body dead getting back up. No, Jesus' resurrection is giving people like me right now a reason to get up, to stand up and go back to trying to live. I had a nightmare, folks. And I didn't have parents that when I had nightmares I could run to their bed and say, I had a nightmare, comfort me, I'm scared. My whole life it's just been, you can convince yourself with prayers and states of mind that the dreams won't come. God will protect me from dreams if I go back to sleep.